my mic is muted. You know, we are coming back to the 17th century, and we are calling the ghost. Well, can you hear me? Joking, of course. Thank you all for staying with us. We are going to continue with the program for today, and we are going to have a very interesting topic, and that is a topic of AI literacy, how to use AI to improve future of society. Basically, AI is already used by billions of people on a daily basis as part of many services and devices like search engines, online retailers, or self-driving cars. However, these technologies are only provided by huge tech companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon, or Netflix as well. We believe that as a society, we are now at the point that more individuals should be able to use and adopt AI technologies and machine learning models for their purposes and to help their daily life to be better. Basically, we are having with us Mario now from Plantargo, and in Plantargo, what they are doing, they want to lower the bar to enter the world of AI and machine learning as much as possible to training and very easy to use workspace. So basically, Mario, you're here with us, and
Hi, Alex.
Hello. You
Thanks
have a
for
very
having
cool,
me.
yeah, you have a very cool T-shirt, and
That's my
basically,
favorite one. That's my favorite data science conference T-shirt still, and
yeah,
hope to have a new one next time.
yeah, basically, I don't know if you managed to see to hear us from the official opening, but we are starting our very own brand change roll through the Tech Geek brand. We are going to launch in September, just before the conference in Austria. What I wanted to tell that basically Mario is also the part of our data science conference family. It's very big family, to be honest. We have more than 100 people helping us, some of them on daily basis, and Mario is one of the main organizers, main partners for conference in Austria that's going to happen in September, which will become a main Central Central Eastern European event for the our franchise. So, but not to steal any more time. I would like to start with the topic, and maybe for the introduction, I would just like to say a bit, because it's very interesting that company that is doing a lot of things in the finance, banking, and etc. in some similar industries is dealing with AI literacy. So basically, my question for you is, how did you start to think about going into the field of AI literacy niche as a company, as you as a person?
Very good question, actually. First of all, I have a background in AI, so I studied AI basically at Technical University in Vienna. So I was somehow attached to the topic, but then dived into the financial industry and thought that it was about the right time to step aside and start the company and deal with the topic of AI literacy, because I thought that there is still a lot of confusion in that field. So it's very new. People are very excited, and it has huge opportunities, but also huge risks so it's like a great tool you have, and you can do great things with it, and you can do horrible things with it. And I hope that I can move that kind of thing to the better side of society. And to be honest, I was also a bit afraid of the topic, because how to improve the future of society is just a huge goal. But we just try to do our few things to make this better and happen.
And being said that, because we are talking about AI literacy, but I think that we didn't define, let's say, to the wider public. So basically, how would you define the term AI literacy to somebody who has heard it for the first time? Maybe he's technical, maybe he's a non-technical person,
Yeah.
but like in 2 sentences, how would you describe AI literacy as a coin?
Knowing what you can do with AI as a technology, and with the data which is involved in this kind of process in creating AI systems and AI models. So I think really understanding, not only in high detail, how a deep learning model or a random forester and so on works. Of course, we also have those kinds of contents, but really knowing what those technologies are aimed for, what they can do, but also to know what they cannot do. And also knowing and to view it from another perspective, to know what kind of data is required to support some specific features. So what kind of data is required, for example, to give you the best Netflix recommendations? Is it dangerous to you? Do you have to be suspicious for it? So sorry, that was more than 2 sentences, but
yeah, of course. Well, personally, I would like to tell, but well, I don't know. We may be jumping from what we have agreed, but you know that when we start talking, we just jump from one to the second topic and come back to what we wanted to say. But I would like to stay on Netflix. Maybe we wanted to talk about it a bit more. But personally, I'm not afraid of Netflix because and what they are using, because I have, but maybe that's my perspective, because I have a clear vision what they are using their data for. On the first place, to provide me a better suggestions, but on the other hand, to keep me on the platform, to use more platforms so they can sell more advertisements, and they can get a bigger revenue, etc. So basically, but in the end, for me, I'm looking at that, like you said, AI literacy. Yeah, you need to know what they are doing behind, so you can get your free will to choose for yourself. Would you like to stay 3, 4, 10 hours on Netflix or not?
Yeah.
So basically, I don't know. Can you maybe, but like I said, I have information. So can you maybe just in a bit closer to explain to people how the Netflix is using data and from the side, and how they can using AI algorithms for their businesses?
Sure. I mean, the problem here is what you said is what you said is very good. So it still has to provide a service to you as a user. And if this kind of thing is just collecting your data and using it for something else, it's highly suspicious and actually should be shut down by some regulator or something. So the service Netflix is providing is it's recommending you the next best movie, the next best series, based on your user profile. So for that kind of thing, they need to collect, of course, your personal information. They collect, but they will do, in any case, will collect what kind of series have you watched or movies have you watched. But they even collect it in much higher detail than you might be used. So they even collect at what kind of point you stopped, maybe you went to the bathroom, when you continued watching the series, at what time you watched the series, at what time you're more likely to watch specific contents. So if you just connect those kinds of dots, you already get a quite rich user profile. And I think those kinds of things are, and what you as a user should be aware of is actually what kind of data does Netflix use or need to provide you this kind of service, and what kind of data do they collect in any ways and will maybe use it at a later stage or at a later time for a new feature you might not even be aware of.
Yeah.
So as a platform provider, I also know, because we also have an education platform, for some kind of things, of course we don't use it for the purpose of creating user profiles and so on. We're not at that stage, but for some cases, you need that kind of data to just debug things and to just see, okay, where does my platform has errors? But as a platform, most platform providers actually don't indicate what kind of data they are storing and for what purpose they're using it. So this needs to be very clear. And
of course,
so there's this trade-off between what kind of features do you need from the platform and what kind of data are they using from you. And this kind of thing is there might be some tension, and users should be aware of that and should know, at least on the higher level, how those kinds of recommendation engines, for example, for Netflix, are working. What kind of data are they collecting from you? For example, my wife was always suspicious because she gets recommended some typical housewife movies. and they know it
Did you
even
try to
just
explain to
because
her that maybe it's about her, not about recommendation? Did you try? Did you have enough courage to say maybe it's good
no, I
for you
mean
to work?
she's a working mother and
Yeah.
gets recommended really movies which are highly targeted to that kind of audience. And this is also what the previous speech was about personalization. But if it gets creepy, if you have
Yeah.
the feeling that they know too much or they're overusing their knowledge, then it gets suspicious. And
Nice. But what I wanted to ask, basically, what you're starting to talk about is some topics that are not only, how to say, it's not only about technical, to be honest. Like we can also take it, say that this is like a bit of legislational question, and by that we can say that it's political, issue. So basically, and I know that you have a very strong stand on that point. That so. How do you see and what do you think in regarding of AI literacy? Do the policymakers are doing a good job or a bad job, and why do you think so? Because we had a preparation for this, and I think that your stand was very, very interesting on this topic. Like, and I would like to share with our public regarding it.
well, I don't know.
Come
Maybe
on, be
I'm a
honest.
political person, not sure. Yeah, sure, a bit. Policymakers currently are very aware of the technology. So if you talk to some, I guess, to some current policymaker, they are very aware that AI is important, that China and the US are highly invested in that topic, and that Europe is maybe lagging behind. I don't know. And so some policymakers are very keen on improving or getting on that bandwagon and have this kind of technology in place. And the others are just very restrictive and want to shut it down and very I don't know, suspicious about the technology. But what both camps have in common and this is where we come back to the topic, is where they don't really understand the technology in some cases, I have the feeling. And there's a huge gap between people who are maybe more on the political side or on the higher level, let's say,
Yeah.
and who have some idea how AI is working, and the more technical people who, like, I am also counting me to this second camp where, to the technical side, where people who actually implement this, who maybe know how to code, who now know how to create models. And so those kinds of camps are very different. And for politicians, it's typically they know it from the higher level. They might have some advisors, but altogether, it always helps to know the basics of that of some topic or technology to make decisions. So
Yeah, but what I want also to ask, basically, because we are now starting to talk about a bit more, but I would like to also come back to one of the main things that, because people sometimes don't understand. Okay, we are talking about literacy, politicians, Netflix, etc. But maybe we can give a few, like, let's say, a few examples of AI literacy and how AI can really improve our life. And when we are talking about it, we had, I think, the conclusion that self-driving cars is maybe the most interesting case where you can explain very clearly how AI can be used for good. So basically, what I want to ask you is regarding self-driving cars, what kind of technology and how it how can benefit humankind can benefit for it on one side.
yeah.
And after that, I would like to talk a bit more about what is the data necessary to drive this kind of model, because people don't understand this part. And I truly do believe, and I know that you agree on this, that this is the important part of being to understand what is AI literacy really is.
Yes. So this is so there. I really differentiate here between technologies which are not possible without AI altogether, and just some gradual improvements. So, for example, self-driving cars is something you need AI models. You need highly complex models who know how to deal in a complex traffic situation. And self-driving cars is, I would say, currently the technology which is most researched and which is the hottest topic maybe in the AI space. But you always have to, and there's other technologies like recommendation systems and so on. You could argue, okay, maybe you could do it also with other technologies which use less data and which are maybe not the newest and latest and greatest AI stuff. So which are more, but in the end, all of those technologies are data driven and you need to collect lots of data. For self-driving cars, it's currently, I don't know how, so Tesla already records lots and lots of data through their...
Basically, I know a bit about basically in one day, they are covering 1 terabyte of data for one car. I don't know if you know that.
For one car? Okay.
Yeah, 1 terabyte of data
that's huge.
per day.
Yeah, that's huge per car. So how many Teslas are there? I don't know.
I don't know.
So in any case, you need lots of data. And this is why AI has been around before, but nowadays we have lots and lots of data. We have cloud-based machines to process that huge amounts of data. And in any case, I would not differentiate so much on you can use, I don't know, deep learning versus gradient boosting or something, but it's really the main differentiator is what kind of data do you have to train the models. And because the other things are more gradual differences between them. And so if you start with, or this is also the difference between tech companies and non-traditional industries, where tech companies already have all that kind of data in place. And Tesla already built their cars to collect data in the end. And more traditional industries or traditional car makers like, I don't know, Volkswagen or Mercedes and so on, who did not have those kinds of driving computers, or who actually invented or built cars, but not computers on 4 wheels. And this is already, I think this is also a huge differentiator. You also need to build that kind of machinery in the back end to have this data-driven and also AI-driven business model in place and technology in place.
What I want to also say, okay, the self-driving cars are maybe something that we can see, but for example, when we are talking about AI in finance, also can be very used. And what we, for all of us know who we deal with finance and banking industry as well, there is a lot of regulation. And basically, when we are talking about the core products of the banking, they're very hard to use to AI for something that can benefit society, to be honest, because there's a lot of regulation, there's a lot of things you need to move forward, and maybe we are still not ready in the terms of, let's say, trust between ourselves, if nothing else, to start adopting, and maybe we will develop core products that can help to, I don't know, lower the inequalities in between paychecks, etc. But I think that there is a lot of things regarding customization, personalization of the customer that can be used AI. So basically, I would like to know what is your stand. How do you think that? Can you give some concrete examples how AI can be used to help in finance, in the financial sector for customers, perhaps?
Yeah. So AI has some typical use cases in finance, like customer churn or fraud detection and those kinds of things. I myself started in algorithmic trading my career, and of course also in that kind of space there was the huge dream that the AI could solve everything and everybody gets rich. This is not the case. So in some cases, in algorithmic trading, it's very hard because the data is very noisy and you have not so much signal. In some other areas, if you want to provide loans to people and you want to use some AI model, it's highly regulated, so the regulators won't let you. And also for fraud detection, it needs to be some model which is understood by regulators. So that's why I don't see that huge opportunity of AI in that kind of space for the core banking side. but more also as the previous speaker, more on the personalization side and more to provide a personal, a customized user experience to the banking user, to have an app which really understands your needs. I think in that kind of space, it's of course also GDPR are relevant, but I think there is bigger opportunities there than on the other side.
Okay, but you mentioned one cool thing regarding that there is a difference between huge tech companies, how they are using. Basically, I would just like to maybe have one part, because before we went to the last part of this fireside chat. Can you maybe explain, let's say, maybe the similarities, differences, or just take one company and to maybe explain to the people how, for example, Facebook or Google is using the data, and what they are bringing to the table for their customers, and on the other side, what they are bringing for themselves. Because I think this is very, very interesting topic, because people have a lot of, they are afraid of I don't know, WhatsApp, Facebook, what is happening there. So basically, from your point of view, to somebody who has a lot of knowledge and in-depth knowledge for this, maybe if you can just bring closer to what Facebook is doing, how they are doing, and what kind of data they are using. I know that you're
well, in that kind of, I mean, those kinds of companies are huge, you know, and they have big data science teams. They have also a hierarchy in their data science teams, which means that, for example, in Facebook, you have the data science core team, which is doing the real hardcore, I don't know, deep learning, image recognition stuff, and data scientists, which are more on the, for them, it's more the business analysis side of things, really improving some KPIs of their apps. So those kinds of, I would also say for those kinds of companies, they're on a much higher maturity level regarding AI and data science. So that's why they have already those huge teams in place. They have different roles in place, like normal data scientists, like data engineers, and so on. And also have this huge pool of data, those data lakes, which are easily accessible. So they're, again, on a much higher maturity level than traditional companies who nowadays try to, with cloud services, try to also come to that level a bit faster.
Yeah.
But again, those, I'm not sure. So how they compare to the more traditional companies is really the maturity level and the breadth and depth of data. They
Of course,
don't have
it's like mixing apples and oranges, to be honest. Like it you can, but only in like fruit mix if you would like to drink something, but not in counting. But what I wanted to, because we start with this topic, it's about AI literacy and how you did start it. So basically, what I wanted to, for the last part, to ask you, what is your reference for AI literacy, and where to learn more about AI literacy? And I would like if you can just give perspective from, let's say, from tech point of view and non-tech point of view, because we have talked about that there's a lot of a big gap here between these two groupations and their understanding.
That's true. I mean, for both of those groups, we have some machine learning intro course. We have also other higher, more techy courses on machine learning, and so we also have this. Of course, the most typical references might be Coursera, Andrew NG, those kinds of things, which are also great and freely available. And you can, so I think there's so much content also around already for just to get to know the topic and to get into that kind of field and space. It's really always a matter of time and effort for people to. I would really recommend, if you need to do decisions based on AI and have those models in place, please go through that. Of course, we are also offering, so we have a nice course platform where you can also code. So we're more focusing on the more tech side of things and the more tech related people. And we also have now, as a very new feature, we are launching new workspaces, because we thought that So more the Google Docs for data science, because still data science is a field where people are just in their own silos and everybody's doing their own things. And we think that opening up this and bringing it more out closer towards to decision makers and to other people is maybe also brings a benefit for society to really know what's happening on the inside and not only having some nice report or graphs around. So
And
I'm not sure
yeah,
if this answers your question, but was again.
well, yeah, but I would like to be maybe just I will not let you leave you until you answer me. But for example, if first thing you will you think that is the gap from the technical point of view, I will just give it from technical. Maybe you can give from non-technical. But what I see that technical persons, they don't understand the impact that AI can have. They are like very keen to develop. They understand technology. But when somebody say, okay, this can impact somebody's lives, they said that's not my problem. And I think that that's a part of the issue, to be honest, like completely, because we cannot say that if we are we have tech literacy in our hands. We have basically, it's like saying that you're facing gun and you're saying, okay, I will shoot in the air, and if somebody get hit, it's hit. But basically, that's not a responsible approach from my point of view. So basically, I think that what will be possibly very cool thing, and maybe we can do that together, like a Contargo and the Data Science Conference, maybe to start some courses regarding understanding of AI consequences for the technical people. I think this can be a very interesting topic, to be honest. It just crossed my mind right now, and I know that they are not keen. They say, okay, I don't understand, I don't give a damn about it. But I think that in the future, the PR of the companies, if nothing else, and we know that a lot of things are to the PR, the good references. I think that with a good PR strategy and something, it can find its place. But why we can do that, I think it's important to do so because technical people, and that's let's say my message for everyone, technical people need to understand that responsibility is also on their side. It's not on the business side, it's on their side to understand.
That's for sure. Yeah.
And
fully agree, fully on board. It's just for you as an excuse. I'm now as an excuse for the technical people. It's just, you want to build a service which is used by or which is loved by other people. So otherwise, Facebook wouldn't be huge, Google wouldn't be huge if they would just provide a crappy service. But somehow it's making lives of people sometimes easier.
Yeah, but what does it sound like? What
you're not anticipating how people are using it, if they misuse it. It's you're giving them a tool, and so as an excuse for technical people, you never know in the end how people are using or misusing your technology. That's very hard. But of course, you can from the beginning you can design your service that the misuse is limited, at least, or not possible. I'm not sure. You can misuse any tool.
Of course, but I think that's also like from the point of view, and we have 5 more minutes, and we are going to have a closing remark after your answer for the non-tech person. Basically, what I want just to say that that's how this sounds to me, especially from the technical point of people, is that they are saying, okay, I want to build something that needs to be loved. It's like you have a small child that is very curious, that want to explore the world, and you just let him to do everything does it want. And that's cool because children need to play and need to understand what life can bring. But on the other hand, if you see that a child is putting their hands in the in the electrical part of the house and maybe can kill himself, or it can be hurt, or it can hurt somebody else. I think that as a parents, we need to, or somebody who has a bigger sense of what is happening there, we need to approach from that point of view. Okay, if this can be used for misuse very easily, we need to have some, if nothing else, some red alerts that can say, okay, think about it. And that's like ethical design, basically what I'm talking about. I know that you know, but what I wanted to ask you this is from technical point of view, but for example, from non-technical point of view, especially from the policymaker point of view, what do you think that is the first thing they will need to know, like 1 or 2 things they need to know about technology, they need to learn basically yesterday, so they can be more effective policymakers, for example?
It's 1 or 2 things. it's really, I think in Europe we have the nice thing about GDPR. So if we are really not misusing the data, the personal data for sure, then I think that systems can be built which are in the interest of the user in the end, hopefully. So I think Europe is here in a special position. I would really differentiate here between US, Europe, and China. And in my opinion, Europe is really lagging behind. And what you said in the beginning, just let people also try, let them try more things in Europe. They're more cautious here, but give them some playground, some sandbox where they can play. Because otherwise, innovation just happens like that. It's not like you're designing a Facebook or a Google or something else from scratch. It's really, they tried lots and lots of things out, and don't, yeah. So for policymakers, really, if it gets bigger, of course you need to regulate it. If everybody's trading Bitcoin, okay, you need to check what they are buying here and how they are using the blockchain. But so from a regulator's perspective, I would really just jump in when it's, when it gets some traction. It doesn't make so much sense before.
Okay. And the last thing I would like just to give you closing remarks for persons who are thinking about to start some kind of education or career in the terms of not only AI, but AI literacy, and company that would like to implement some of the programs. What will be your message for them?
If they want to start a career in AI?
Yeah.
Or,
career.
Yes. Learn how maths and programming is really essential. So without that, you won't make it. And don't get frustrated too early, because it's hard to do. Everybody in that kind of space somehow needs to learn it. There's so many tools, platforms, of course, also ours available. Just use them and get that kind of knowledge. And then you need to decide in the end, do you want to be more on the startup side of things, or do you want to go into some corporate? So those kinds of spaces are very different. And also on the corporate side, is it a tech company or a non-tech company? Because this determines the data availability. Many data scientists are frustrated in the beginning because the data is not available, they're not allowed to, and so on. So you can decide this already before or at the interview at the company. Are the tools I like available? Is the data available? Am I allowed to do this? Can I try things out as well in some sandbox? Those kinds of things you should consider, and don't get frustrated.
Okay. Mario, I would like personally to thank you for accepting our invitation to talk about this topic. It was like we said, we are going to cover a lot of various topics on different and change world to data, of course, or save the world to data. We'll see also about that. And what I wanted to say that we are going to have a short break until 1:30. It's 10 minutes coffee break for the persons who would like to take a short break or coffee. For sure, we are going to continue with three more talks after this coffee break is finished. We are going to have Goran Mausha, who will talk about how they are using AI to create better biotech and pharma solutions. After that, we're going to see how AI is transforming musical industry. Very, very interesting talk. I can say that because I had a chance to see how the AI is working on the first level. And in the end, we are going to finish this day with the data privacy topic from Poslovna Inteligencija. Lucia will deliver talk. Once again, Mario, thank you very much. Hope to see you
Thanks
soon
for having
live.
me.
And
see you at DSC Austria.
Of course, in September, if not before. Okay, cool. People, we are coming back in 10 minutes. So, bye.
Bye.